Unbelievably excited to have reached 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, gotten that verified check, and my silver play button is on the way. It's ordered. I've picked up a few things along the way, made some significant changes to the way I think about my channel, and I thought it might be worth stopping to reflect here at 100,000 and share some of that with those of you who are aspiring YouTubers yourselves. So here are 8 things I've learned on the way to 100,000 YouTube subscribers. The number one thing I've learned, and if you hear nothing else from this video, this is probably the most important or second most important thing I'm gonna say. YouTube is not fair. It is not fair. It is not designed to be fair. YouTube is a company. The purpose of YouTube is to make money, is to make profit, is to sell advertising. An example of how it's not fair. Travis, my friend, Explore Adventure Moto, great channel, go follow him if you haven't, makes similar content to me. He makes adventure, motorcycling, riding content, but he has less than 5,000 subscribers. So if he and I put the same video up on the same day with the same keywords and the same thumbnail, my video will crush his video. Not because I'm a better YouTuber, not because I'm more interesting, not because my video is better, but because YouTube isn't fair. The rich get richer. That's part of the system. That's the way the system is designed. Because with 100,000 subscribers, when I put out a video, it gets shown to a lot more people immediately. With a smaller number than that, it doesn't have the same built-in audience. It's why growing gets easier the bigger your channel gets, which is also unfair. It means changing your strategy depending on the size of your channel. Early on, it makes more sense to optimize for search and discoverability. Also, click-through rate is of course very important, but as your channel grows, it makes more sense to focus on getting your subscribers to click on that video as soon as possible. So click-through rate becomes far more important, and it's why thumbnails have evolved to this clickbaity kind of, I can't believe this happened, or I'm quitting crap that you see now, because creators need you to click on their videos if you're subscribed to them immediately. And when they do, when a bunch of people click on my video because they're already subscribed to me immediately, YouTube then sees those engagement signals and shares my video with a wider audience beyond my subscribers. I have a built-in advantage over a smaller channel, and it isn't fair. YouTube isn't fair. YouTube is also fickle as hell. My most viewed video of all time, I've been doing this for 7 years, is one I put up 2 months ago. It has 1.5 million views. It is a short about a bunch of dudes trying to rip me off when I was selling my daughter's Camry. It has nothing to do with my content, and it went mega viral and has 1.5 million views and counting. My highest viewed piece of motorcycling content, my actual content, the thing I have 800 plus videos on, has 445,000 views. It's my full-length Washington BDR adventure, and that thing did really well, but it doesn't even have a third of my highest viewed video, which has nothing to do with my content. Number 2 is a reason why I think a lot of channels don't do as well as they think they should. As I watch channels that I enjoy grow or stop growing, it is often because of this, and that's that you have to decide if it's a hobby or a job. Neither one is bad. But if it's a hobby and you just want to make the content that you like, and whoever watches it, great. That's awesome. That's a great way to do it. You're trying to record your rides and have memories, whatever it is, great. Just accept the consequences of that. The problem comes when people decide it's a hobby and I'm gonna make the content I wanna make, and then their channel doesn't grow and they're like, YouTube hates me. And I was one of those people for a long time. You have to decide if it's a job or a hobby. If it's a job, or do you want it to be a job? It's a side hustle that could become your main hustle, like it did for me. I'm incredibly fortunate that that is the case. Then you have to do things differently. If it's a job, you have to make content that people want to see, even if it's not your favorite. It doesn't mean giving up making the content that you like. It means figuring out what of the content that you like does best and focusing on that. If it's a job, you have to create content regularly, even when you don't feel like it. Fickle release schedule is the biggest way to tank your channel. And even big creators that I follow and have followed for a long time come back and say things like, the algorithm hates me. And I'll go to their channel, they haven't posted in 3 months, or they're posting on and off. They got used to having that success, and then when you stop posting regularly, YouTube doesn't show your videos to anyone. YouTube wants creators that are creating content regularly. The whole point is to get people on the platform and staying on the platform. They don't want their viewers subscribing to someone who puts up a video once in a while. They want their viewers subscribing to someone who puts up content consistently. If you're really invested in growing your channel, my suggestion is at least 1 video a week, but at the very bare minimum, 1 every 2 weeks. Commit to it. You can miss 1 here or there, but it needs to be consistent. YouTube needs to see that it's consistent. If it's a job, you'll find a way to post consistently. If it isn't, that's fine too. And not everyone has time to make it a job. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not shaming you if you don't have time to post YouTube content. content regularly. I'm just telling you, tough love, that's why your channel isn't growing. If it's a job, you're willing to be self-critical and evaluate what's working and what isn't working. If your favorite content isn't doing as well as you'd like it to do, you need to take a step back, be self-critical, and evaluate if that's content that anyone actually wants to see. Does that content provide value? That doesn't mean you stop doing what you like doing. Like I said, here's an example. Like just going out and riding videos don't do well. I'll make one once in a while, but usually I'm doing something else in that video. It's a test ride video. I'm trying out new tires or new gear. Or if I just want to go riding and I don't have a topic in mind, instead of making a video of that, I use it as an opportunity to film a bunch of B-roll that I then use later, so I'm mindful of it. So if I know I have a product review coming up, I'll make sure I have that product and I'm filming it, whatever. But I still get to go riding for fun and enjoy that. It just doesn't become a video every time if the riding is kind of pedestrian or normal. But I am being efficient and getting content for future videos that I know will do well. Side note, but I honestly really don't recommend riding videos at this point unless you're either the most interesting person on earth, or you're just riding in an incredibly gorgeous place, or you're an incredibly skilled rider doing something super interesting. YouTube is flooded with average riders riding in average places, and yes, it's gorgeous to you, but the people that are watching your videos are riding those same places all the time. It's not that interesting to them. You gotta find a way to make it interesting to them, so. That's a piece of advice specific to the motorcycle genre. If it's a job, it means you're willing to adjust when things aren't going the way you want them to. Perfect example, last year I was struggling. I made that apology video. Last November and December were really bad. And one of the things that once I kind of came out of my funk and realized that things were not going well and I needed to figure out why, that I did was I went back to researching YouTube strategies the way that I used to when I was like small and hungry. I kind of got to the point where I was like, I know what I'm doing, and I stopped doing that. And I went back and started watching videos and reading again, and it turns out they changed the way discoverability works. It was no longer about the computer reading your video and making sure that it had good keywords and all this stuff and then promoting it. It was about making sure that humans were clicking it in a way that it hadn't been before. And once I figured that out and changed up my strategy, things got a lot better. But if it's a job, you have to be willing to understand that you don't know everything, keep that beginner's mindset, and go back and reevaluate. Somehow that's only number 2. The number 3 thing I've learned on the way to 100,000 subscribers comes from my days in college as a writing minor, doing writing workshops and stuff. A phrase that we used to use all the time, and you'll forgive me, it's a little vulgar, but it's meant to be, is kill your babies. Sometimes you write a story and you have a great character that you love, but it just doesn't work in the overall context and you have to cut it. Sometimes you have a great idea for a story and you start writing it and it just isn't working. You gotta let go of that. No matter how personally invested you are in it, sometimes you have to kill your babies. You have to get rid of and stop doing the things that aren't working. I mean kill your babies specifically in the context of editing, okay? You may think that everything you say and do is interesting, but I guarantee you it isn't. Case in point, I have a 45-minute video that I made years ago of riding my 250L in the snow, and it has probably 15 to 20 minutes of interesting content of me actually riding in the snow, dropping my bike, making a snowman, a bunch of fun stuff like that, getting in way over my head, but nobody saw it because I spent 20 minutes rambling about God knows what on the way up there, and everybody stopped watching the video. And I know it's boring because I go back and watch it and find myself looking at my phone almost immediately. So that's a test I like to apply to my videos. If I'm rewatching it or editing it and I'm tempted to pull my phone out and look at it, it's not interesting. Nobody should be more interested in what you're doing than you. And if you're not even interested in it, it's not good. It doesn't need to be in your video. Cut it. Kill your babies. Get rid of them. Save them for later maybe. Maybe that's good B-roll for something else. But if it's not interesting, it needs to go. Leave your audience wanting more. Make shorter videos that are filled with more interesting content, compelling from second to minute to minute. Number 4, be original, or at least unique. What makes your content different? Writing videos are a perfect example of this. There's a million average writers out there doing average things in average places. If you're not a super compelling writer, doing something super interesting like writing in terrible weather, or going somewhere super unique and showing off interesting things, or you're not a really great editor, something. You need something. What makes your content unique? If you're just doing the same thing as everyone else, you need to find a way to do it differently, or you need to find a way to do it better. Number 5, ask yourself this question. Am I boring? And then evaluate objectively whether you are, because if you are, you need to stop being boring. You need to be exciting and interesting to watch. Your audience also needs to be able to understand what you're saying. So what does this mean? You're gonna have to excuse me, the old acting teacher in me is coming out, but 1, enunciate. Especially if you're talking to camera or narrating, nothing makes me stop watching a video faster than when someone is just and you can't understand what they're saying. Enunciate your syllables, that's very important. The most important sound in a line of dialogue is the final consonant. It's the most important sound for understanding. So make sure that you're saying the final consonant. your speech will become much easier to understand. Also, smile. Enjoy what you're doing. Be energetic. Nobody wants to watch a video where you're like, so these are the best tires I've ever used, and I can't believe how good the traction is. I literally rode up a mountain so high that I met Zeus, and he hit me with a lightning bolt, and I swear it was so exciting. That's not interesting to watch. You need to be engaged. You need to enjoy what you're saying. You need to smile. You need to find a way to be energetic, because if you're not enjoying what you're doing, nobody's going to enjoy watching it. Sorry. Tough love. I did tell this to hundreds of high school actors. I'm telling it to you now. It's what makes the difference between an average video and one that stands out from the crowd. Also, be yourself. I know this goes against some of the stuff I just said about like evaluating what's working and what isn't. I'm not saying make content you don't care about or you're not interested in. It's really hard to fake that. Make sure that what you're doing is something you genuinely enjoy, and you need to find a way to let that come through. I've worked with a few people who are, shall we say, not who they pretend to be on camera, and that is exhausting and impossible to maintain forever. Build your persona, whatever, whomever it is on your channel, off of something that is actually you. You're gonna take your best qualities or most interesting qualities and crank them up to 11, but they still need to be things that you actually do love and possess. Be interesting. That's important. That's a difference maker when you're making content that you want people to watch and engage with. Engage with them first. It's a two-way street. Number 6, this one's simple. For informational content, reviews, anything like that, write a script, man. Or at least jot down some notes. I always just bullet point it, and then I'll riff off of the bullet points, but I don't want to forget an interesting point. I want to make sure that they're organized in a way that makes sense, and I don't want to ramble and repeat myself, even though I do that anyway. I have watched a lot of creators, particularly in this space, who just turn on the camera and ride, and they're reviewing a motorcycle they've had for a long time, and it's just kind of rambling and all over the place. Admittedly, I do that on a first ride, but that's a first ride, and the whole point of that video is to just share my impressions in the moment. I don't do that for review videos. When it's something I'm evaluating that I've ridden and enjoyed or used for a long period of time, I don't want to forget anything important. Sit down, write a script. You don't have to stick to it. You can improvise, you can riff off of it, you can change things as you go, but at least know what you're gonna say before you sit down to record voiceover or 2-camera stuff. Number 7, ask yourself this question. What is the point of my channel? What purpose does it serve? You need to know. You need to be able to describe your channel in one sentence. What is your elevator version of your channel? If someone says, what do you do for fun? I have a YouTube channel. What's it about? What's your answer? Right? I make dual sport and adventure motorcycling content and some camping stuff. It's usually what I say. I also have a mission statement for my channel. I know what I want it to do. And I think at some point, maybe that's not what you're doing early on, but at some point it's helpful to sit down and evaluate what it is that your channel does, what value does it provide. If you're not providing value, there's no reason for someone else to watch what you're doing. My channel mission is to inspire, educate, and empower others to have adventures of their own. If I make a video that doesn't align to one of those goals, it doesn't belong on the channel, or at least I know it's not gonna do well because it's not aligned with what I do. Decide what your values are, figure out what value you provide your viewer, and it could be entertainment. But a lot of people that think their primary value is entertainment are not entertaining. And entertainment is the hardest thing to break into. There's so many people trying to do it. That's why you see so many channels like mine lean into education and inspiration, because entertainment is hard. Education is easier if you're okay at explaining things, write scripts, and are reasonably engaging. That all helps. It all kind of goes together. Weird. And before we jump into number 8, I just want to say thank you to all of you for making this thing possible. I'm not pretending to be a YouTube guru. This is just me sharing what's worked for me and what I've learned along the way. I also understand that luck has played an exceptional role in my ability to be successful to this degree. Also, that YouTube isn't fair, and once the channel gets to a certain size, it's gotten easier. My hope is that I don't ever get complacent, because that's what I see a lot. Channels get kind of big, they stop even trying to do things that will help them grow because they just assume things are gonna work, and they stop growing, and then they're like, algorithm hates me. It doesn't, you're just not putting out content that has value with consistency, and you need to keep doing that. And why do you need to keep doing that? Because of number 8. The secret to YouTube success is simple. They can change the algorithm all they want, and they do it all the time, and it affects channels badly. But YouTube doesn't care about individual channels. They don't. Unless you're Mr. Beast, pulling in millions and millions and millions of views, they don't care about your channel. What they care about is making money. What they care about is eyes on the products that they're trying to advertise. Understand that first and foremost. And if you do, then you understand that it doesn't matter what they do to the algorithm. If you continue to make content that is compelling and people want to watch, that has value, you will be successful. All they've done is refine the algorithm to make it more successful at finding content that's actually valuable and useful. It's why they started looking at engagement signals. It's why they send you those surveys after you watch a video. It's why click-through rate and watch time are so important. It used to be you could game the system and make a crappy video and get it to rank because you knew how to do keywords and SEO and all of that. And over time, they just continually refine it so that the videos that are showing the most value, that keep people on the platform, that are the most engaging, whether that's clickbait or whatever, that's what they show to other people. If a video is successful, YouTube will keep showing it to people. Why? Because they want people to stay on the platform, watch ads, and pay them money. That's the point. You have to understand that. YouTube doesn't care about you. YouTube is a business, and their purpose is to make money. If you help them do that, they'll always promote your content. If you don't, then you get dropped. You'll be tossed by the wayside. So the way to do that always and consistently through every change they ever make is make compelling content. If your content is compelling, interesting, and engaging, people will watch it and YouTube will promote it. At the beginning, that's difficult because just getting eyes on your content is hard because YouTube is unfair, but create good content. If you build it, they will come. Optimize for search when you first get started. Get that watch time and click-through rate up, and YouTube will be beating down your door. It's how these channels that are super unique blow up overnight, because they are doing that. YouTube figures it out and starts pushing their content out to everyone else. 7 years it took me to get to 100,000 subscribers. A gaming channel can do it in 2 months, but in this niche, I'm actually in the autos category, autos and vehicles, because there's no motorcycle specific category, but in this dual sport adventure motorcycling world, it's harder to grow, and different niches grow at different rates, and keep that in mind. There's a bonus tip for you. But I want to thank everyone who supported me, everyone who's watched me, everyone who has suggested things that might be interesting, all of you who suffered through my early content, including that 45-minute snow riding video. I'm incredibly and forever grateful to all of you. I feel very fortunate to be where I am. Couldn't have done it without the support of all my amazing subscribers, patrons, channel members, and everything else. So thank you all. I hope this helped you budding YouTubers out there. I'm sorry if it was overly harsh, but that's what you need to hear sometimes, the awful truth. Thank you for watching, and now back to your regularly scheduled motorcycling content. And please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!